What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Collective Comics and the Lights Comics Action Podcast. We are diving into episode number 11
One
today. I know, I'm like, I don't have the 11 fingers. 11 today. That's crazy.
Yeah.
More episodes than I have fingers.
More. We got to get a toe up here, son.
Right?
Here.
Yeah.
Here.
There we go. 10. 11.
There we go.
talk.
Episode 11, man, is crazy.
Right?
It was crazy to hit double digits last week.
It was crazy to hit episode 0 when we did.
Yeah.
For me.
Just to get started.
Yeah.
And then we hit double digits last week, and we just keep going. I think that's the cool thing about podcasts. And most people put out like a podcast a week. You know what I mean? So once you get to episode 52, you're like, oh, we've been doing this a year. Or,
Yeah.
I've been listening to this podcast for a year, or, you know, whatever. And then you get to 104, would it be? That's 2 years. And then, you know what I mean? And you can just keep track of how long you've been doing a podcast by that episode number. So I think that's crazy. We've been doing it over 2 months, you know, almost, and we're
2.5 months.
Yeah, we're moving on to 3 months.
That's nuts.
After just being like, could we do a podcast? Like, I don't know if we can do a podcast. Will we have something to talk about? Or like, will we? I mean, at that point, it kind of started just from like rides to gigs and talking about stuff. And it's like, we're talking about it, but could we do a podcast? Like, could it happen? Is it possible?
Right.
And here we are, episode 11.
You're sitting here with an hour-long podcast needing to.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. We might be getting some longer podcasts in 2023. Like we keep saying, we're talking about what we're moving into in 2023. We haven't, I mean, it's ever growing, ever evolving. Yeah. It's a living, breathing channel. It's always changing. So
constant learning curve.
I'm here for it. I'm having fun.
Me too.
Doing what we're doing.
Right.
How you doing this week, man?
Doing pretty good. Didn't have a lot of editing because we edited.
Yeah, we're actually ahead for a change.
It's crazy. Usually we're trying to play a little bit of catch up and we're rushing, and we're ahead finally.
Yeah, it was for a while. It was chaos.
Yeah,
and we're like, this video comes out tomorrow.
Yeah, and then Thanksgiving was hitting, and Halloween, and all this stuff was hitting at once.
Luckily, we were at a point when we saw Christmas coming. We're like, this is what we got to do. We got to get ahead. You know? And then we were able to do it. And I texted you one night. I'm like, am I missing something?
I know.
Am I like?
I felt like that last night. We hopped on Fortnite last night together. And,
Fortnite.
Yeah, and I just was like, I don't have anything to do, right?
Yeah.
Like I could play video games,
right?
Like, right?
You know, I had to watch some reality TV.
There you go.
No,
I mean, just getting that entertainment in, you know, getting those little extras.
I talked about this a little bit, but we're supposed to be getting a new season of Daredevil.
When is that?
I don't know yet. I haven't seen an official date. I want to say it's either this year or next year.
Okay.
So I wanted to watch Daredevil and get caught up, and I didn't know a ton about Daredevil. I know a little bit about him here and there. But then I started watching Daredevil, and I think I talked about this last week. It's like, okay, season 2 had Punisher, blah, blah, blah. What do I need to watch? And then now I'm like into Jessica Jones, and Luke Cage is in Jessica Jones, and there's Luke Cage. And I didn't know anything about Jessica Jones or Luke Cage.
Oh, really?
And Jessica Jones is pretty cool. I mean, she's a bad A in
our terms
in that show.
We gotta make a shirt. We got to make a shirt that says "Bad A" on it. You know,
bad A.
Yeah.
Yeah, that show is good. I always I saw all these because Marvel had those shows, those Netflix shows or whatever they were, and I always saw them and I wanted to watch them, but then we talked a million times about how much stuff Marvel has coming out, and it almost seemed like those were the things I could miss out on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm happy I'm watching them now. They're pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. I can be hitting the ground running hard in February with Ant-Man.
Oh yeah, Ant-Man.
So that's gonna be the first thing of 2023 that we're getting into.
Right.
As well as I'm excited, but I'm also extremely disappointed. You know,
what are you disappointed about?
Well, I'm scared for Marvel.
Okay.
I'm scared for Marvel. I'm easing up a little bit with seeing Wakanda and how they did Wakanda and stuff. I'm like, okay. And then they released a statement saying we're listening.
Yeah.
We're rethinking everything, you know, all this kind of stuff. So there's hope.
Yeah.
There's hope for me at liking Marvel movies how I used to when I was a kid.
Right.
During phase 1.
Mm-hmm.
There's still that little bit of hope.
Right.
But now we had that hope back in October with DC. I had that hope. I think we all had that hope.
Black Adam.
With Black Adam, when that last scene of Black Adam showed Henry Cavill
Yeah.
coming back as Superman. There's a vlog that we put out, and I walked out of the theater freaking out.
Right.
I was like, he's back. Cool. We got another Superman movie. The battle between Superman and Black Adam's going to happen. All this different stuff. More key comics coming to the big screen. A lot of stuff. And now, done.
Yeah. Well, we've kind of touched on Henry Cavill, DC, and Marvel. Mm-hmm. I have a few things that I want to get into in this. I'm going to let you decide. Do we want to keep going with Henry Cavill, or do we want to start at Marvel and end with Henry Cavill?
Let's start with Marvel really quick.
Okay.
We teased Henry Cavill.
All right.
So they got to stick around.
All right. So we're gonna go backwards from what I have, but let's see. Eternals. Did you see Eternals?
I did not.
I saw Eternals. I know there's a lot of people who didn't like Eternals.
That's why I didn't watch it.
I liked Eternals. I think ongoing on this podcast and on this channel, I'm a little bit more open, and I'm more positive and hopeful for a lot of things. Mm-hmm. I feel like you're a lot harder on things, and there's just things that you probably won't like. I don't know if you'd like. I mean,
I've wanted to get into it, but like I said, it's a show, and it's just hard for me to watch shows, especially with other people that.
Well, it's a movie. It's a long movie.
Is it? I thought it was a show for some reason. My bad.
Some of the criticism is like they butchered the story. It doesn't make sense with what happened in the comics, and that's one thing. Like, especially now that I'm reading more comics than I ever did, and it'd be cool to see the things in the comics, but also like I'm watching a movie right now. I'm not reading a comic, so as long as you give me a movie, like a good movie, I don't care if it's like loyal to the comics or not. Right. Like, obviously there's certain things that you want to see come from comics. There's certain things that you expect, but if you can shut off those expectations and just hope to get a good movie, I'm way more open to that than most comic fans, I think. Right.
But like you just said, the more and more you read comics, the more and more you start kind of coming over to the dark side. You know,
I don't think I've really done that. There's certain things. I think if you read the comics, it does build up expectations, and if you don't, it's with anything. If you go into something with expectations and you don't have those expectations met, you automatically think something sucks.
Yeah.
And I tried to stop doing that a long time ago. There's so many things when I was a little bit younger that I would watch movies and I wanted the movie to be this way, but it wasn't. Like, that's not the movie they made. Why am I the one that gets to decide if this is good or bad because of how they made it?
I get you. I get that.
That being said, like, I understand why people are upset, but like, I don't know if I've said this on the podcast. I think I've said it to you. Like, I almost look at movies kind of like a variant cover.
Okay.
Like, you see a cover, and I think like the Batman Spawn covers we've been seeing are a really good example of this, right? So like, The Man Who Stopped Laughing has nothing to do with Spawn.
Right.
But we got really cool Batman Spawn variant covers. You know what I mean? And it has nothing to do with it. So if you look at it like that, like, I'm going to look for this comic based on the cover. This is the cover that I want. And if I don't get this cover, I'm going to hate the whole comic. But you get there and it's a Batman Spawn comic cover variant. And you're like, okay, all right, cool. Yeah. It's not the one that I expected, but it's a cool cover, so I'm cool with it. Right. That's kind of how I view movies. Is like, it's a variant of itself. Like, you might not get the story, but you're gonna get like the general content. Right. You know what I mean? Even like any other variant, like I Hate Fairyland. You get weird variants that have nothing to do with the comic, but they're cool. Yeah. And you still get Gert on the cover, and you still get your characters and stuff.
Now let me ask you this: King in Black. No New characters.
Yep.
Modern characters.
For some reason, I knew this was coming.
King and Black thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Marvel goes to make a movie.
Yep.
You are going to see the movie.
Yep.
And as we know, if you guys haven't, this is going to be a mega spoiler real quick. So spoiler alert, fast forward 10 seconds if you don't want to be spoiled for King and Black, and you'll be all right. The way Venom wins that fight is by taking Mjolnir and the Silver Surfer sword and fusing them together.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. What if they did that in the movie and that just didn't happen, and that's not how he won? What if that didn't happen? Or what if Null just was not cool? You know what I'm saying? Like, what if Null looked like The Rock when he was skinny? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the expectation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then that creates a hole for you. So now when you're going and watching King and Black, the same issues that you had not knowing anything about Black Adam with Amanda Waller and stuff, and then you're like, well, now I'm out of the movie and stuff like this.
Yeah.
You read the comic, you're going to get out of the movie. And I feel like that is just kind of what happens, especially now that you are reading more comics and stuff like that. And that's what has happened for me for so long, you know, with like The Dark Knight and certain things like that. When you see these books that you read, especially when I was younger and reading them, and those being my childhood, you know, and then them finally coming to life on the big screen, when things aren't done justice, it sucks. Yeah. You know, in my head. And then I'm just like, why didn't they especially when it's a mega key point and like it's a huge part of the comic and it could be like this huge cinematic thing and really made certain things a great movie. Like, I feel like if they made King and Black a movie, they have to do the hammer and the sword. But what if that didn't happen? I'd be pretty upset. Or if Null just wasn't in it at all.
I don't know if you could do King and Black without.
I don't think you could. You can't. But you know, but
I got you.
Found a way,
right? Yeah.
What if they found a way? And like, we just can't script Null, so
they just make him some other character. Yeah. I think I totally agree, but I do think it comes down to filmmaking at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. If you can make a good movie, then there's going to be those holes for me, but it's still going to be a good movie. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I think Black Adam is a good representation of that because, like, on that podcast, how long did I talk about the holes that were created for me? But at the end of it, I was like, still a great movie, still a good movie, still would watch it again, all these things. So, like, yeah, I get it, but you can also detach, like, that connection to... I was, at the end of the day, I'm entertained by the movie. Yeah. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So, like, there are certain things that, like, it's a bummer if they don't do it. I feel like people complain a lot about, like, the Hulk. Mm-hmm. The Hulk, like, Smart Hulk is not who they want him to be. Yeah. They want him to be the big bad Hulk and blah, blah, blah. Like, that would be cool. That would be great. But that's not the way they went. Mm-hmm. And as much as I would like them to just have Hulk throwing cars at people and, you know, like, destroying stuff, like, I'm still entertained by what they're doing. Like, I'm not... I mean, there's going to be people who aren't entertained by that, and that's totally fine. Like, everybody can, you know, feel how they want about anything. But at the end of the day, like, I'm entertained by the movie, regardless of if I'm getting the Hulk that I expected, regardless of, you know, anything like that. I just had another example in my head that I totally forgot. Oh, on the other side of it, if you're expecting She-Hulk to come out and do those things that you're expecting the Hulk and they didn't really do it. Like, She-Hulk, I didn't know a lot going into She-Hulk, 100% true. But I still had a little bit of an expectation of what a She-Hulk would be doing for episodes. You know what I mean? And they didn't give me those. Yeah. Cool. Let me see if I can stay entertained. Let me see if I can stay entertained with the show. Mm-hmm. And I was very patient with it. You know what I mean? Yeah. We've talked about it a million times out here. But at the end of the day, they didn't put out a good piece of content. So now I can sit here and be like, okay, not entertained. This is why I wasn't entertained. Yeah. You know what I mean? I feel like I feel like that's where it is for me, even with like Loki. I didn't like Loki. It's not that I didn't like Loki. It wasn't my favorite. A lot of people liked Loki. But at the end of the day, I can sit here and be like, it was a good show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The shots were great. The characters were great. The actors were great. Like the story was great. It just didn't hit it didn't check some box for me for some reason. Mm-hmm. But I can still sit here and be like, yeah, it was a good show. Like, as far as the show itself, great show, just not for me.
Yeah, and like I say, part of that I feel like comes back to, I mean, Loki doesn't really have that. I mean, he's in the comics, but he doesn't really have his comic. Right. And if they did, it's modern because of the show. Mm-hmm. So he's not a mega character and doesn't have really mega key comics or anything like that. So not that there wasn't an expectation for him, but you can almost kind of do whatever you want with him and make it a good show because you don't have those tie-ins from that. Or where, I know this isn't comics, but Harry Potter fans are a lot like comic fans, especially how did you digest Harry Potter? Did you read it first and then the movies came out?
I think like in school, like it came out when I was pretty young, so like they read it in school. Like I remember when the first one came out, I think I was at an age where like, I don't know if this happened for other people, but when you're younger, like there was like a reading time and like we'd all have to read the book, or like the teacher would read a chapter to us or something. So like that's how I read the first one.
Me too.
I was in a reading class, like trying to make my reading better, and like we had to read, I think it was the second one, and then when everybody in the class finished the book, the class went to the movie.
Right. That's how we did Hunger Games.
For me, I preferred the movies like a million times, but I know there's a lot of people who didn't. Mm-hmm.
It's also the digesting of the material in it, because I couldn't digest the book either. I saw the movie. It came out 2004, 2002. Something like that.
I
was 4 or 5 years old when that movie came out, and I got it on VHS, and that's it. That was my introduction to Harry Potter.
Right.
Was having it in my house as a movie, not knowing about the book or anything until, it turns out there's 5 of them already. You know, and then I didn't end up reading. So it came out when I was 4 or 5 years old. I didn't read it until I was 14, freshman year. Yeah. When we read it as a class. So like, there's a big gap there. And reading it as a class, I was able to digest it a little bit better. And there was things that happened. We only read the first book that happened in that book that I wish kind of could have happened in the movie, but they didn't put it in the movie. And I didn't think it lost anything.
It
but
wasn't
I feel
detrimental to the story.
Yeah, but I feel there is things in like the 4th book that are pretty detrimental to the story, and there's holes that I didn't know existed because I didn't read the book.
You just watched the movie.
Yeah, but my girlfriend is obsessed with Harry Potter and has all the books and read them 5 times each, and she knows the holes and she gets upset, and I'm like, that's how I am with Superman, and that's how I am with Black Adam and She-Hulk and all this other stuff, to where I feel like, I don't know if that happened because I watched the movie first and then read the book. Yeah. Or, that's going back to my point, is that I feel like if you read the book and you have that expectation and like there's this great book here and you go to take it to the big screen and stuff is missing, it's a bummer. Yeah. Especially if it happens, if the thing that's missing happens to be one of your favorite parts.
Yeah, I think one of the first podcasts we shot, I think I talked about like getting to a point in my life where I can almost completely shut that off. Mm-hmm. So I think also it comes from, like, I didn't read a lot of the comics when I was younger, but I watched a lot of the shows. I watched the animated shows. I grew up watching through a lot because I was born in 89. Mm-hmm. So that Batman 89 stuff was just kind of starting. And then we got this Batman, then that Batman, then this Batman, then that Batman, and they're all different stories. So you kind of have to shut off everything you know from the other one to enjoy this one. Because if you're comparing the two, they're different directors, they're telling a different story, they're using different, everything. So like everything that I might want from the Spider-Man animated show that I watched when I was a kid, they might do that differently in the Tobey Maguire, and they might do that differently in the Tom Holland, and so on and so forth.
We also have to think about it like there's Spectacular Spider-Man, there's ASM, the Amazing Spider-Man. So it's like
But I mean, expectations come from everywhere. You know what I mean? So if I watch Batman, I don't know, if I grew up with, and I did grow up with, the Jim Carrey Riddler, and I love the Jim Carrey Riddler regardless of anything else in the world, that's the one that I picked to be my Riddler. And I never get that Riddler again. So does every other movie suck because they didn't go with that Riddler, because that was my expectation from
But that was my favorite Riddler too, so I totally feel that. But no, I don't think that at all.
But that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, anywhere you get an expectation, anywhere you start to build an expectation from, and if they don't deliver on that, whether it's comics, books, something you read online, a different movie that you saw, I think it's even going into like the DC stuff that we're going to get into is like, we're not going to get the same DC moving forward. Yeah. You know what I mean? And people are really pissed about that. But this is where DC is now.
That's where DC's kind of always been, though. You know, how many different Batmans do we have? And not that we're used to it, but Marvel did that to themselves and to us, you know, by making the MCU and making Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man for so long. You know, that's what we got used to. And now the second we don't get that, people feel like betrayed for some reason. I'm not so, I'm attached to like Henry Cavill and Robert Downey Jr. as those people, but I can very quickly get past another actor playing them. Whether that actor did it well, and if I can get past that or not, different story.
I mean, there's always going to be some kind of expectation. I don't think, me personally, I don't think that your expectation, whether it's met or not, determines whether a movie is good or bad. And maybe that has something to do with how I watch movies in general, because I'm also watching, like, you could call something a Spider-Man movie and not connect it to the comics at all, and never have ever had that villain in a comic. You could give him a suit that's pink and brown, and I mean, if it's a good movie at the end of the day, like, that's a good movie, but you're going to go into that with expectations from all your years of Spider-Man. You know what I mean? But obviously that's not going to be the Spider-Man that you're going to get in that movie, and just because you read comic books doesn't mean like they made a bad movie.
I wouldn't.
I think it goes like even Game of Thrones. Like, Game of Thrones started as the books, but then the show bypassed the books. You know what I mean? And separating what happened at the end, like that, you build stuff, but that doesn't mean they're telling that story. You know what I mean? I guess, I don't know. I guess just shutting off that expectation. Like, yes, expectations exist. I understand that, but as a piece of film, I don't think that they're critical. Like,
I think if you make me mad the whole time, then it's a bad movie. You know, that's the thing. If you're sitting here just making me mad, like you did it on purpose, you're not going to get a good movie out of me. You know, like,
I don't know. I just prefer to go into things more open minded, I guess. You know what I mean? And like I said,
every
before,
time I try
like,
to, it's just like
when I was younger, even not like so long in my past, like, I used to do that every single movie. I go in, this is what's going to happen in this movie. This is what I know about this universe. This is I hate this movie. It's stupid. It sucks. They did a bad job. They did this. But then I just sat there thinking about that the whole time instead of sitting there and enjoying a movie. Like, I'm there to enjoy a movie. Like, obviously you're going to dissect it a little bit and stuff like that. But like, with that mindset, you can't sit there and, all right, like, did they, what was bad about it? Oh, the story, they didn't stay true to this. Okay. But they didn't stay true to it. They never they never set out on that journey to, you know what I mean?
If don't put the name on it. Like, don't call Secret Wars if you're not gonna.
But I mean, it's still, it's like
you can't,
like Harry Potter, like we were just talking about. Like, it's still Harry Potter.
Yeah, but you can't title it the Sorcerer's Stone and tell the Order of the Phoenix.
Well, I don't think that's a little extreme, but I think.
But that's what they do, because they title it Secret Wars and then tell whatever the hell they want,
right?
Instead of telling Secret Wars.
I guess. I don't know.
You know, I mean, that's the example. Not that they're going to do that, but
I think if you brand it that way, that's a little bit different. But like,
and that's what happened with. I'm assuming what happened with Eternals and stuff like that is that people were expecting certain things from Eternals and they didn't get it.
But it's like, here, Black Adam. Black Adam has pointed ears. Where is his pointed ears?
I mean, but there's many different variations of Black Adam, and apparently this Black Adam is the second. I mean, obviously, it's the
but if
second
you went
Black
into
Adam.
the expectations of,
He also had hair.
I read this Black Adam, and this is what I expect from Black Adam, and you didn't even make the Black Adam I wanted, so why are you calling it Black Adam?
I feel like they did, though. Like,
but if
like The Rock is Black Adam, the anti-hero Black Adam, you know.
But
like,
if you go in there with, and you read all the comics, and this is the Black Adam you want, and that's not exactly the Black Adam you got, like, that's...
In terms of, like, his suit or, like, him being Black Adam? Like, if he went in there acting like Spider-Man, I'd be like, what are you doing?
Well, they're like... You see all this stuff is like, they didn't even make him look like him. They didn't even make The Rock look like Black Adam. They didn't even try. They didn't even do this. They didn't even do that. And they do that with so many different things. Like, they gave this character black hair, and in the book she has red hair, so I hate this. You know, like
stuff like that is
and then
worthless
like
to get upset about.
I mean, especially with Eternals, like, okay, they might not have stayed true to whatever you wanted them to stay true to, but also it's one movie, and we have no idea what's coming.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I feel like we're spending way too much time on this, but
probably
because this is something I thought we'd talk about for 2 minutes, and we're a half hour into the episode.
Oh wow!
But
there it is.
Yeah, like, just stay open minded. Like, that's that's my thing. It's like, I don't want to go in and just bash something before it's even told. And if they made a good movie, they made a good movie. I don't care.
Yeah.
It looks like we're going to get another thing from Marvel in 2022. It's going to be an episode of Assemble. Have you watched any of the Assemble?
Mm-hmm.
So in Assemble, they go in and they follow. So they have Assemble for, like, Moon Knight. They have Assemble for Loki. They have Assemble for Love and Thunder. They have Assemble for all this stuff. And they basically follow the creation of it.
Oh.
And they give you behind the scenes, like, oh, this is what this actor's doing. This is what happened. We did this. This is how we're shooting this.
I've seen them. Not that I watched, but I've seen them on Disney Plus, and I've almost watched them.
So it looks like we're going to get another Assemble. I think it's supposed to come out on the 28th, which is the day that this comes out.
Oh, wow.
So if you're listening to this the day it comes out, go check it out. But they don't, the article I read about it, they didn't know if it was going to be on the holiday special or Wakanda Forever. I'm hoping it's Wakanda Forever. Like, I don't need a behind the scenes of Kevin Bacon.
Did you see my face? I have the chills now. Like, if you're even questioning on making a behind the scenes between Wakanda and the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, you just need to not. You just stop making. Just call it quits now. Stop making movies. You're done.
Here's the thing. I don't think that it's one or the other. I think it might be one or the other that day. You know what I mean? I don't see you putting out an Assemble for Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special and us never getting one for Wakanda. Why would we never get one for Wakanda? I feel like maybe if Wakanda doesn't come out this year, we'll probably get it closer to the time that it comes out on Disney Plus. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think, maybe this is me being positive or being hopeful, but I feel like there's no reason for you not to put out an Assemble Wakanda Forever, but it might not happen right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's that. I don't think there's anything else we need to talk about on that. If they do a holiday special and we never get a Wakanda Forever one, that's kind of, you might be brain dead. But
Yeah.
another thing,
Make me have an aneurysm or something, dude. Like,
another thing, there's a couple things attached to Black Panther here with this. Namor, I couldn't pronounce his name, so I didn't even put it here. But AP put out their Entertainer Class 2022, their breakout entertainers for the year, and he was one of them. So
Alt Press?
super cool. Yeah, Associated Press, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You said AP, and I went alternative press in my head.
Because that's what I thought too, and then I looked, and I think it was Associated Press, but I'm thinking alternative press. So, but that's us coming from the music background.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
So I was like, why are they putting out this?
I know. I was like, AP did it?
Yeah.
Like,
But yeah, he was one of the breakout actors of 2022. And after Wakanda Forever, I fell in love with that dude.
that was his first big role?
I don't know if it was his first big one. It must have been his first like big breakout role. If he's on the list, you know what I mean? He might have had little roles before that.
That's
but
insane.
maybe it was in Hallmark Christmas movies before that, and then he's like, I want to be Namor.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, probably, honestly. He was on Saturday Night Live or something and went.
Yeah. I mean, the way he played that character, the way they told that story, I mean, that's another thing. They didn't attach him to Atlantis. They created a brand new thing, and I dig it. I don't know. You hear Atlantis all over the place, and they created something new, which I'm here for. But
I think they had to.
Yeah.
Because of
Aquaman.
DC,
Yeah.
but Namor was first.
I mean,
pretty sure.
Whatever they created, what was it called? Whatever. Taco.
Taco.
I almost wrote it down too because I knew I wouldn't remember it, but whatever they created is super cool to me. I mean, they changed his background and everything. You know, he's Hispanic in this, and
I mean,
I'm here for it. You know,
yeah. I mean,
I'm always here for diversity, and changing that was cool with me.
Oh yeah, I mean, I definitely didn't mind it at all. It's just, I think it's literally just the name that's changed for me, because like in Marvel's universe that is Atlantis, and they just couldn't use the name, and they could have. That's me just being like, okay, like that's the whole.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm making an excuse for it right now because I liked it. Or what? That's probably what's happening, is that I'm making an excuse just because I want to make the excuse. But I don't know. I feel like it didn't bother me all that much. Like, it bothered me for a quick second, and then it was done and over with it. And then once we have a conversation about it, I'm like, oh yeah, that did bother me, didn't it? You know? Like,
I mean, that's one of those things too. It's like, when you think of an underwater civilization like that, Atlantis is always going to be the first one to your mind. But then they created this thing, and it looks so cool. And they tied it to like a Mayan heritage thing, which I think is super cool. And it looked beautiful. It looked way better than Atlantis from Aquaman, in my opinion. There's like everything they did, from like the hair movement to
the CG
movement
was
to the lights to the, all that stuff. But yeah, Breakthrough Character Class 2022. I totally agree with that. He killed that movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely makes me upset that we might not see another Namor thing for a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, not that he was completely canceled, but Black Adam 2's canceled. Who knows if he was going to
Marvel,
come back.
buddy.
Wait, dude, we just talked about that.
We just talked about this.
Everything keeps getting canceled, and I'm just like all.
You kind of started on that journey, and I was like, please don't go that way again.
I did. I did it again, didn't I?
Hey, well, all this DC. Well, it doesn't help that like a lot of times we're covering Marvel and DC in every single video,
and we're coming off of Black Adam, and I'm sitting here thinking about Black Adam, and then why did I do that?
We also talked about Eternals and ended up talking about Black Adam, but we're getting into a lot of this. We're gonna continue getting into a lot of it. You know what I mean? So we're gonna have to create that separation somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. Everything's just coming out so fast, and it's so hard to keep up.
I also found an article I wanted to cover a little bit and just get your reaction on this one. The Black Panther suit from Wakanda Forever. Her suit, was gold and silver, because a fan had reached out and was like, "Does her suit look like this because of Killmonger? Did she see Killmonger and that's why her suit has gold? Because Killmonger's suit was gold and T'Challa's was silver, like the black, and then all the accents were silver on one and gold on the other. So she has a mix of silver and gold to kind of take a little bit from each, whatever. I was going to say impression, but that's not the word I'm looking for. So she took a little bit from each, and she's basically trying to meet in the middle, and kind of, you know, how T'Challa was and everything's good and we have to stay good. And Killmonger was straight like revenge and trying to get justification for his dad and all that stuff. So they kind of tie the two together, and
the whole, like, there's a little bit of good and evil,
right?
And a little bit of evil and good. That whole thing. Yeah, and that's where she sits.
I thought that was just like a really cool little like nuance, a little detail.
I didn't notice.
Right.
That it was like,
right.
You know.
But some of the fans did, and they reached out, and he said that it was definitely a decision that they made and something that they definitely wanted to put together. So even if we missed it, like, it was intentionally done. You know what I mean? Right. So that's cool to me. And her suit looked cool. Her suit was awesome.
Oh, yeah. The second I saw this, I was like, that is sick. The helmet looked, I mean, not that it was all that different, but I think it looked better.
Yeah.
I think it's the best Black Panther suit that we've had.
I guess James Gunn moving into DC. We have a little bit of Marvel to touch, but it's all James Gunn related from here on out.
All right, let me just draw that line now.
we are apparently still getting a Blue Beetle come into life. I don't know a lot. I know a little bit about Blue Beetle, but how do you feel about that news? I feel like,
I mean, it could be cool.
Yeah,
I think it'd be cool. There's a lot of hype around it. I know that. When it first got announced, what was it, back July-ish, somewhere around there, everybody was super hyped on Blue Beetle.
Right.
All the comics started spiking, started going crazy. I'm interested to see what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Why go on with that when we have some real heavy hitters that you could go on with?
I kind of feel like Blue Beetle is something that they haven't really touched on in the DCU yet. So I feel like that's kind of a title that he can move forward with without
affecting anything else.
Yeah, like,
but he could also shoot himself in the foot.
Yeah, he could.
And plant something in the DCU that, well, now how are we going to get around that? You know?
I think if you try to tell a good story and tell it neutral, and you have a plan going into it, kind of like, just to bring it up again, like what we got with Moon Knight. Like Moon Knight, if Moon Knight flopped, all right, that's not the Moon Knight that we're moving forward with, but there's no ties to it. You know what I mean? You didn't see Iron Man in Moon Knight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You didn't see any of the Avengers in Moon Knight. If they would have done that and nobody liked it, then they would have been kind of stuck into that. But they kept it like, this lives by itself, and if it's successful, this was always intended. You know what I mean?
And then if it wasn't, they're just like, no, different universe.
I think if you keep it, just tell me the Blue Beetle story. Don't go too crazy with it. Tell me a good story. Make a good movie. And then once you kind of work out and iron out some of the wrinkles, then start integrating that in, you know, kind of like what we got with Iron Man. Iron Man was Iron Man, and then we built into something else.
Yeah.
It is kind of funny to me that, like, you look at the Avengers side and we started with someone like Iron Man, and we're starting DC with Blue Beetle. But we'll see. There's some things coming up. There's some that's kind of how I feel about it.
I don't know. When you say it like that, I'm like, starting with Blue Beetle.
Yeah. Everything that I've seen.
Where's the Pat Bat? Where's he gonna live?
We'll see.
I want him back.
We'll see.
He's supposed to come back. I don't know. It's a lot of stuff supposed to happen that's not anymore. I'm getting upset.
Yeah, well, you're not the only one. Moving into Henry Cavill news. Henry Cavill is out. That's I think before this it was always kind of like he's out for now, but we might get him back. They might rewrite the story a little bit and we might get him back. Mm-hmm. He might be out, he might not be out. But it sounds like as of right now they're parting ways with Henry Cavill.
Yep.
So that's pretty big news. I know you got a lot to say. So
I know you're happy.
It's not that I'm happy.
I know. I'm joking. I'm joking.
I like Henry Cavill as an actor.
He's
I like
great.
him in a lot of other things.
Yeah.
I wasn't crazy about the Superman story, and I don't know if that's entirely because of him. I think you know what I mean. I didn't like Ben Affleck as Batman. Apparently James Gunn liked his Batman, but that's
a lot of
whatever.
people loved him.
Yeah. I didn't like his Batman. It's not that I didn't like Henry Cavill's Superman. I just really wasn't that interested in what they were telling with him. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it is what it is. Mm-hmm. But Henry Cavill, I think, is a great actor.
I think, yeah, for me with those Superman movies, Justice League, Batman vs. Superman, all Man of Steel, all that stuff, that was all stuff that I knew from comics, and those were done. I mean, there's holes. There's holes in every movie. Mm-hmm. You can't not avoid holes. It's just like how big are you going to let that hole become?
Yeah.
Are you going to let it become a black hole and just suck the whole movie into it? You know what I'm saying? Or is you just going to let it be like a little tiny pin drop? You know? We saw the death of Superman. We saw Doomsday come to the screen in those, and that's where I really fell in love. Yeah. You know, with Batman versus Superman and stuff, seeing the death of Superman, then him coming back into Justice League. I thought it was a really great story especially for him to be like evil Batman, and we saw all sides of him. And later on, finding out that turns out Henry Cavill is just as big into this stuff as we are. Yeah. And there's like TikToks and stuff coming out from the first time he stepped into the Superman suit for Man of Steel, and the smile on his face, you could just tell that he was so happy. It's just like, oh my God, I'm Superman. Yeah. This is the coolest thing that could ever happen to me. He said that multiple times and stuff like that. And I feel like learning that made me fall in love with him even more. Yeah. Not that Superman hasn't been told for the last 50 years on the screen. You know, do we need another one? No. Would I like to see him come back? Yes. Do I want to see the Black Adam Superman fight? Yes. Yeah. Are we gonna see that? Nope.
Probably not. Isn't all this, I guess, Batman? Batman unfollowed people on Instagram.
Batman.
The Rock has unfollowed Warner Brothers and Black Adam on Instagram. Apparently, that's kind of like gossipy stuff that we don't typically talk about. But there's some stuff going on. You know, there's some people who are angry. There are some people who, you know, and understandably so.
Who notices that stuff though? Real quick, who notices that kind of stuff? That that The Rock, they're going through his followers and being like, huh, he's all of a sudden just not following DC and not following Warner Bros. How do you keep track of that? I'm sure he's probably following 1,000 people at least. I mean, 1,000 accounts to follow. Like, I don't feel like that many. You know,
well, with all the stuff that he works on, probably.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he probably has 1,000 people in his close little work group. You know what I'm saying? So, like, how are you finding this stuff? Like, how does somebody find this stuff, make a headline about it? But then on top of that, why is The Rock being that petty?
Yeah. I mean,
not that he shouldn't unfollow him because it's just social media and whatever.
We'll see. I don't know. I don't want to speculate on something too much like that because maybe there's something coming that we don't know and he's just creating a stir, and you know what I mean? Or maybe like he wants.
If that's what he's doing, I'll stir the pot with him.
Right, yeah. maybe he wants to just part ways with Warner Brothers, and then him and Henry Cavill are gonna go make some other movie together and do their own thing, or we don't know. We have no idea. And as far as like James Gunn goes, he said a million times, we don't know what's happening. Like we don't know. Like
he knows,
we being us. Like we being the fans. There's a lot of stuff coming out towards James Gunn at this, and that's like the one last thing that I want to hit, and then I feel like we still have a lot to talk about with the whole Henry Cavill thing. But now people are calling a boycott on Guardians 3 because James Gunn is ruining the DC universe and people shouldn't support his work. So that's what I wanted to kind of get your live reaction. How do you feel about this? How do you feel?
So they're boycotting Guardians of the Galaxy because he's destroying DC.
Yep. People shouldn't support anything that James Gunn has ever worked on anymore, and they shouldn't support James Gunn. And James Gunn is a horrible person, and he got rid of our Superman. That's how people feel.
Is that how that happened, though? Is that really how that happened, though?
That's kind of my take on it. Is I think it starts way above.
I think
James
he's
Gunn.
hired by DC. Exactly.
I think, and we've talked about this before, is like the way that DC has done contracts, and you know, these things have already been set in motion. You know what I mean? And I have read articles, whether they're accurate or not. We've said the internet thing before, like everything that you read isn't true, but it was like we liked Black Adam, and if we would have been here in time to pull that cameo, we would have done that, because then Black Adam can live on its own, and then we can reassess from there. But they weren't there to make those actions happen, so like that's just what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The thing is, though, like with Black Adam, the next major, I mean, obviously every origin story that comes to the big screen is a key book.
Yeah.
The next key would be the fight between him and Superman. You know, it's like, what else are you going to tell? You can't keep going with Black Adam and not tell that story.
But
so you either keep going with Black Adam and eventually show that story, or you just don't do Black Adam anymore.
Yeah. I think, I mean, there's all kinds of timeline things you can get into and all kinds of things. And, but you could have done a Superman movie, built up a new Superman, and then had a Black Adam cameo at the end of a new Superman movie, and that would have tied the two movies together. That being said, in my opinion, that's not the only issue with Black Adam tying it to this universe, because we have the people from Peacemaker. James Gunn put the Justice League at the end of Peacemaker. So those are the things that, I mean, we're going to have to see moving forward.
That they're starting to, that's where they're creating holes by not having James Gunn there to be like, dude, that's going to start something that you just...
I don't think that boycotting or blaming James Gunn for what's happening at DC is a big issue. Like, I don't think that's where
I don't think that's
anger
the answer.
should be. Like,
I don't think that's the answer at all, especially because, one, you're going to hurt Marvel. So if you're a Marvel fan, you're only hurting Marvel because James Gunn has been paid. James Gunn is paid in full.
Yeah.
And who cares what this movie makes, because it's Marvel's.
Right. Yeah.
You know, aside from whatever royalties, and they got to figure out percentage-wise.
Right.
Besides that depends on how well that movie does. James Gunn got his millions of dollars for shooting that movie.
Yeah.
You know, so to do something like that, you're only going to hurt Marvel. You're going to hurt the heroes that you like, and you're going to hurt the movies that you do like, and not let them be successful coming out from this point forward if you do stuff like that. I don't think boycotting a Marvel film is the answer. If you're going to boycott or protest or something, go do it outside of DC Studios.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If that's where you want to get your attention, go do it the right way. Don't hurt somebody else and let Marvel be the bystander. And I'm not that big of a Marvel fan. When it comes to Marvel versus DC, I'll back DC. I'm on their side of the war all day long. But when you're going to sit there and hurt Marvel for nothing...
Yeah.
Don't do that. You're gonna
for issues that were way above James. Like these, I feel like we've been, even before James Gunn came in, I think these things were starting. The wheels were already turning. You know, especially with the Ben Affleck going to his own production company, with them canceling Batgirl, or like these things were already happening. They signed a Discovery and all this stuff. Like these wheels are already in motion, and they just brought James Gunn and they're like, fix it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And now he has to play pickup.
And he did tweet there. I'm going to paraphrase because I don't have the exact words in front of me, but he's like, we knew coming in that people were going to be mad, that we were going to get threats, that we were going to get all this stuff. This stuff was going to happen. But our job is to put together a good universe, to tell a good story and make good heroes. Mm-hmm. You guys on the internet telling us that we suck and we're horrible people and we're doing the wrong thing, that's not going to change that's not going to change what we're going to do moving forward. Like, we have a job, we're doing our job. Like, I mean, that's where I'm at. Like, I'm not going to criticize anything until I start seeing a few movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, like, regardless of how attached you are to Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck, any of that stuff, Gal Gadot, okay, that iteration of DC has
it's
lived.
over. It's over.
It's been here. Mm-hmm. And that's just not what we're getting moving forward. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's like I want, like, Michael Keaton. You know what I mean? Like, I want Michael Keaton to be Batman forever, and you're not putting him in. I want him to be in the next. I want him to take what's his face in the Batman. He should be every Batman.
Oh, Pattinson,
Christian Bale, Pattinson. They're all out. Everyone should be.
I don't agree with that. Okay, and now I've talked about Keaton a lot.
Yeah,
I'm super hyped on Keaton.
Yeah,
and this is the biggest. I'm realizing it, and I'm like, this is why I'm excited about Keaton. We're gonna get the death of Batman.
Yeah.
And that's when Joker kills Batman. That's another mega key comic that I want to see come to the big screen.
I did see. I'm gonna let you finish.
They're gonna have to kill Keaton, and I'm gonna cry, and I'm gonna be real upset. But I want to see it. Yeah. That's the biggest thing with Keaton. On top of him being 89 Batman, right. And from the day I was born, he was Batman.
Right.
So.
I did see, again, internet, whatever. I did see that James Gunn was trying to meet with Ben Affleck and get one more movie out of him. That's where he's like, it sounded like he's like, I want one more movie, and then you can go do whatever you want. I just want to tell this one story.
When was this?
I just read the article last night. So
oh, dang.
So that's where I was like, okay, are they going to try to get Ben Affleck back and then do like a death of Batman thing and try to transition them into the new thing? But that's the thing. We have no clue. I also read that James Gunn said he's not recasting all of DC. He's not out here to just change everything. And he does have contracts to fulfill. Mm-hmm. He has things to. I think there's
a lot of legal things that go into these movies, right, that people also need to realize that have an effect on some of these movies.
I think that's going to be the hardest thing. Like, I almost would rather DC bring in somebody, even if it wasn't James Gunn. I like James Gunn. I like his movies. I like his directing style.
Me too.
But even if it was Taika Waititi, right, it doesn't matter who it is, but I almost wish they would have just been like, curtain, that's DC, that was DC, we're starting a new universe moving forward.
Yeah, like
everything is done, everything is done, this is new. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But with it being so like, well, maybe this character is here, maybe this isn't here, maybe this does this, maybe we recast this, because he does have obligations that he has to fulfill. You know what I mean? And especially now with the merger just happening, so Discovery wants something, Warner Brothers wants something, DC wants something, fans want something, the actors want something. But I'm at the end of all of this and all of the things that all of you want, I need to make a good universe. You know what I mean? Like
on top of this,
that's my first priority.
Yeah. We're gonna lose characters, especially when it comes down to legal terms, because they're scared they're not going to make money on movies now, because of Black Adam. Because apparently, Rock hasn't made money. It didn't make that much money, actually, after what they spent versus,
I was reading another article before we started shooting this. It's like The Rock saying they made like $70 million, and this is
in total they spent 50 to make it.
Well, he's saying this, and they're saying that. It was another one of those articles. It's
right.
It's chaos.
But like, it costs a lot of money to make these movies, and we're gonna lose characters, especially iconic ones that we did fall in love with, like Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Like with losing Wonder Woman 3. I mean, when you think about it, if Black Adam only made $70 million, Gal Gadot and the director alone is gonna take $35 million for those two.
Yeah.
For that film. What other? You're not gonna.
Yeah, that's
you have
your
a few
budget.
$1 million to play with, but that's over half of your budget for the director and the main actor.
Yeah.
What are they not going to interact with anybody? You're not going to have extras. You're not going to have CGI. You're not going to have After Effects. None of that stuff.
Yeah, you could just not hire actors and then have CGI, but then the CGI is just as expensive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then it turns into a $1 billion movie.
Yeah.
And then they have to make over $1 billion from box office, and we don't digest movies like that anymore.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is like people aren't going to theaters like they used to. It's not realistic.
I don't even buy Blu-rays anymore.
Yeah.
Like I used to have all these VHSs, all these DVDs, and then Blu-rays started coming out, and that's when I started buying all my VHSs and stuff on Blu-ray so they wouldn't scratch. And I have this big Blu-ray collection, and now it's like when a movie comes out, I'm just gonna wait for it on HBO, or I'm gonna rent it for $4 on Amazon, or I'm gonna buy it for $8 instead of $25, $30 at the store for a Blu-ray.
And I mean, even during like COVID, Marvel tried to do the whole like buy this movie for this amount of money or do this for this amount of money, and it didn't work that way. Like people aren't doing it. Like I can wait 2-3 months. And I'm going to get it for the subscription that I pay for.
Well, you don't even have to wait anymore because AMC has the app now.
Yeah.
AMC has the app to where you can just click on the app and pay the movie price for your tickets and watch it at home. You don't
I'm saying like I'm already paying for Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So I don't have to pay anything else. I wait a month or two and then the movie's right there. Like I'll wait 3 months. I'll wait 6 months because I'm not going to have to spend any more money than what I'm already paying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And on top of that, you're not invested into it because you're not sitting there watching a movie that you paid $20 to go and see, and then you're getting up and making food and you missed half of the movie and you just don't even care anymore.
See, I'd rather watch it in my living room, but
I like the theater. I like the theater. There's pros and cons to both.
Yeah.
I like watching movies in the living room with all the lights off and stuff like that, but I do like going to the movie theater and relaxing in those chairs and stuff.
I bought a TV that I like. I got sound bar and sound system that I like. I'm not extra. Like I only have like, I don't know, maybe this is extra to people, but I only have like a 60-inch TV or something, 65, and that's really not that crazy for living rooms these days.
Not anymore, yeah.
And it's just like a 4K, like nothing special. Got like a Sony sound bar and a subwoofer. And I just cranked the crap up, and I'm like, but then I'm like sitting on my couch that I like, you know what I mean? Just recline straight back, and then like I'll go grill a gas station, grab a whole bag of chips or whatever I want. I'm not paying $15 for a fun-size Snickers. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Some popcorn that's usually good, but tonight they burnt it and it tastes like crap, and I just paid $30 for a drink and popcorn. And then if I miss something, if I want to see something again, like boop.
Right.
Oh, did you see that in the background? Or wait, what did he say? If you missed that in the theater, are you going to pay $45 to go again and see that one line?
For Black Adam, absolutely.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying every movie.
I know.
Every movie. You tell me every movie. But yeah, even things like Amazon, like I'll just grab it, $3, rent it for 72 hours, watch it twice, and you know what I mean? It's just one of those things.
It doesn't make the money that it used to, and I mean, the same thing is with music and books and all this kind of stuff. The way that we just digest
things now is so different that you can't project. You know, does that mean like what is going to happen to actors? Because we've been slowly watching the music industry go down with how, you know, musicians get paid, and now they're might as well be working at McDonald's. You know, if you want to be a musician, you can make the same amount of money working at McDonald's. You know, or is that going to start happening to actors now because we're not digesting them and going to the movies like we used to and buying the Blu-rays and buying it for $30 and keeping it forever? But, you know, now just seeing it for free with, you know, Spotify, musicians get paid 1/8 of a cent per play. That's a fraction of 1 penny.
Yeah, right.
That's insane. That's what happens. That has to be what happens with Netflix and stuff.
I think, well, that's a whole nother conversation. We can get into Netflix, but I think that it's going to come down to, as a producer, like I make beats and I make dance music. So people ask me, hey, can I get a beat? I'm like, yeah. We work something out, and they're like, that's too expensive. I can pay my cousin to make a beat on his Dell for whatever, $5.
Yeah.
A 40. And I'm like, cool, go have him do it. And then you listen to the beat, and the beat is bad, you know, it's not mixed well. And then they like the rapping is good, or the singing is good, or whatever is good, but like the music's just not good. I'm not saying my music is great, but I feel like my levels, my mixing, that stuff is good. But I mean, people just rather pay a 6-pack of beer for a beat that they can get done with, and then rather like, hey, you come do this, I'll record you, I'll mix you, I'll master you for this much money. And they're like, nah, I can put this on SoundCloud, I can put this on Spotify. I feel like it's going to be the same thing. It's like, I'm making this movie, I have this much money, I want this actor or actress, but they're too expensive, so I can get this actor or actress for this. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
It is what it is, you know, because now producers are like, okay, well, I have to drop my prices because nobody's going to buy stuff from me because, okay, so now these young producers that weren't good before are getting good, and they're just charging $10. So, like, I have to do what I have to do, or I have to sell to Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's that disconnect of, like, ask for what you're worth, but there's always going to be somebody undercutting you. So I feel like we're going to see that with actors and actresses more than anything. Back to the Netflix things, we see so many foreign films that are just overdubbed in English, and it's like the movie's good, but like they just made it over there. I don't know if they're making it for lower money and they're just overdubbing it. I don't know what's going on. Or maybe they're just dubbing a bunch of movies and bringing them to America. That's cool. Like if like a small foreign producer or small foreign director wants to make a movie and they just overdub it and they give them the money, and you know, that way these foreign directors can make some money. But if they're cutting corners that way, that's not cool with me. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's finding these things out. I don't know. You know, you look at comic book artists too. Scotty Young has a video talking about how he finally got a job at Marvel, and he got this, and he did X amount of books, and then he was back waiting tables in Illinois. And then he finally got he was doing this, and he got a little bit bigger run, and then he went back to waiting tables. You know, who knows what's going to happen. You know, we're in a really weird time in society. Maybe the next DC film will be 7 seconds long because that's the attention span of everybody. You know, it's hard to say. I don't know. I am bummed out about Henry Cavill. Maybe not as much him not being Superman anymore as the fact that he left The Witcher to do this. He left something that I think that was great,
successful,
you know, and he was The Witcher, and he's like, I'm gonna go be Superman again, and then now he's not The Witcher or Superman, so that
now managers are fired.
Yeah, I heard that he fired his manager, but at the same time, like, I would not have. I probably wouldn't have left The Witcher until I had a contract like, all right, Henry Cavill, we got you for 5 movies, blah, 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 this amount of money, this.
His manager probably lied to him.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
His manager probably was like, yeah, we're getting the contract. Contracts are on their way. We're signing them, getting them done.
Do this, and we got this movie for you. We got this movie for you. That's not James Gunn's fault.
No, not at all.
Yeah, that's where I'm coming from with like, why are you boycotting James Gunn, y'all? Like, there's
he's the messenger, realistically.
Yeah,
like he's the one that is hired by DC to be like, here, well, let's tell this story, make it happen successfully.
Yeah.
You know, like you can't just, there's a hole there. There's holes now that DC has created, and somebody has to fix it.
Right.
And things got to break more sometimes to fix it. You got to break it, like cleaning your room. You got to make it more messy to clean it, you know?
You broke your arm and you let it heal naturally, and now your arm healed to your butthole. And you have to break your arm off your butthole to put it back on your shoulder, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a real thing that happens. All right, y'all. I
just have the weirdest image in my head.
Did you have anything else to talk about? DC, Marvel, Henry Cavill, James Gunn, any of that?
I think that's it, man. I think this wraps up the last episode of Lights Comics Action
in
for 2022.
Yo, I didn't even think about that.
That's crazy.
I'm just like working. Boop, boop, boop,
Yeah.
boop. Let's go. And,
right.
Dang, I didn't even think about that.
This is the last one of 2022.
Is this the last video of 2022?
28th. 28th.
No,
we got the 30th.
There'll be a spotlight.
Yeah.
There'll be a spotlight. Will be the last video of 2022.
There's one video to follow after this.
Yeah.
And it's this Friday. Go check it out. Come say what's up, and we're going to follow you guys into the new year. If you guys haven't already, do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on so you guys don't miss out on any podcasts, videos, reviews, or nothing.
Check out the description for things like free money on whatnot, discounts on Dubby Jitterless Energy. And until next time, this has been Collective Comics.
See ya.